Hello everyone, welcome to Anime No Mi, and thank you for joining us for another One Piece video. In today's video, we're going to talk about the shadowy character we know as Im-sama. With the new levels of devil fruit rarities appearing in One Piece, and these new fruits appearing with such incredible powers, and the ability of these powers to do amazing things in the world, we've also seen that with this rarity, it seems that they're also the most difficult to achieve the true power of the fruit. It's also no surprise that the characters with great importance in the story seem to have these kinds of fruits. For instance, we've got our protagonist with the sun god fruit. We also have other amazing mythical fruits like Kaido with his mythical dragon fruit, and even Yamato being a wolf deity. Along with that, we also can't forget that we have Marco the Phoenix and his mythical fruit, and Sengoku with his mythical Buddha fruit. So with all of these things and all of these rare versions, we do know that mythical Zoans are the rarest, but we didn't imagine that there could be something even rarer than that. Even characters that still possess kind of a mystery about the true power of their fruits, for instance Teach, who has the darkness fruit, and Dragon, who still may have an unknown and undisclosed fruit. They even could possess one of these legendary fruits that we now see talked about. But there may be a character who may possess one of the most powerful and legendary fruits. A fruit as powerful as Luffy's power. A character who nowadays still has an unknown appearance, and we really don't know their origin or goals, but we do know that they are a very important person in the history of One Piece. So in today's video, we're going to talk about Im-sama and what his real goals in leading the world government might be, and what powers this mysterious being may possess. But before we get into that, if you're new to the channel, we'd be absolutely honored if you consider leaving us a like, or even subscribing with a comment letting us know what you thought of the video. It really helps us out and motivates us to make more content. And if you'd like to help out the channel in a bigger way, consider sharing the video with a friend. But without further ado, let's get into the video. So friends, Im-sama may be one of the most mysterious characters in One Piece, but we really know almost nothing about this mysterious character, or even if he belongs to the human clan or some other kind of clan yet to be shared. It's also been widely speculated that Im-sama could have been alive for more than 800 years in some way. Now, it could be because of his devil fruit, or because of having a greater vitality of his clan. I mean, after all, we know clans like the Giants have a gigantic vitality and could live for maybe even a couple hundred years. Or he may have even have received the immortality surgery from the Opi Opi no Mi. But even this, that may not be the real thing that's sustaining Im-sama. So it's possible that this character may possess a fruit similar to Luffy's, and by awakening it, the user can obtain a new goal or even a new personality. So just as Luffy's acquired changes after obtaining his Nika fruit, perhaps Im-sama's fruit had a similar effect. Just consider the fact that Zunisha says that Luffy's heartbeat sounds like the drums of liberation, something that also happened to his former companion Joy Boy. So by awakening, Luffy has been able to become Joy Boy and obtain Nika's power. And this opens up the door that perhaps Im-sama had something similar happen to them, where this character may have eaten a legendary devil fruit that existed 800 years ago, but a fruit that would be the opposite of Nika's fruit, that being the fruit of a moon god or even another deity. So this person who is currently titled as Im-sama might just be the new bearer of this god fruit, and therefore inherited its personality and its powers and possibly even its goals, because that fruit may have an intricate connection to Joy Boy's fruit. For it's been quite explicitly shown that Im-sama seems to have a certain rivalry or at least interest in Luffy, because in every moment that this being appears, there always seems to be something to symbolize this captain of our Straw Hats. In Im-sama's very first appearance, we saw him holding a poster of Luffy and a few other bounty posters of other characters. Now, although he cut some of them to pieces, symbolizing that maybe he might make these people his priority, he kept Luffy's wanted poster on the ground because it might not be necessary to confront him at that moment. Soon after that, we see Im-sama go to a large frozen vault, and inside that vault was an extremely large straw hat, nearly and not identical to Luffy's hat. And this very likely meant that the giant hat may have belonged to Joy Boy in the past, or at least some other predecessor to the Nika fruit. There's also been a lot of speculation about this in the community, and it could be possible that this hat also comes with an incredible revelation, because Doflamingo seems to know the existence of at least this vault or some great secret that would shake the world to its core. So it may be that this straw hat that has a connection to Luffy, Roger, and Shanks may have also belonged to Joy Boy, and this big straw hat may also be holding some secret involving the sun god Nika. And it could be in some point in the future that recovering this hat may become Luffy or even the revolutionaries' main objective, because during the meeting of the 20 Kingdoms, some members of the organization had infiltrated Marijois. Now, maybe this team was just there for a reconnaissance mission, since their main objective could have been to just infiltrate inside the castle and find the location of the safe. But at that moment, they ended up having other priorities. So the reconnaissance mission might just be enough that in the future, they could go to the castle, discreetly get the item from the vault. But a very interesting thing to think about is how the revolutionaries and Doflamingo would have the information about this vault, and how this information about this treasure could have been spread to the world nobles and the revolutionaries. After all, we know that Doflamingo and the other world nobles should not know about Im-sama or anything related to him. There's also an indication that one of the Gorosei may in fact be a spy, and that spy could be after Im-sama's powers, or at least after something, because only a high-ranking world noble would have ever had contact with Im-sama. So perhaps this embedded spy in the Gorosei may be just waiting for Im-sama to reveal his god powers, because as we saw, the Gorosei do have knowledge about the Sun God's fruit. To take that a little bit further, it also could be that since they know about the power of the Sun God, they know that there's a certain connection with Im-sama, and may even know that there's something about what happened in the past and why they tried to hide the real name and even the name of the Great Kingdom. After all, there is a possibility that the Gorosei gain knowledge of something that only Im-sama possesses, or rather, because there's this vast knowledge of the events of 800 years ago, and they may not learn this specific detail or the real story unless it comes through Im-sama. Now currently, it could be that Im-sama might be after Luffy, because initially, he might have suspected that Luffy could have been the bearer of this Sun God fruit, but he didn't have much information about him. Also, we know that Luffy hadn't awakened his fruit yet, so Im wouldn't have a reason to make him a target. He might just kind of keep an eye on him, because without his awakening, he wouldn't have the ability to disrupt his plans. But now that Luffy's awakened his fruit, Im-sama might be very worried about what Luffy's gonna do. And not just with the power of knowledge, we also imagine that Im-sama possesses incredibly great power. Because if Shanks is interested in a giant straw hat, Im-sama would be the only reason for Shanks not to attack when he met with the world nobles at Marijois. So if Luffy ends up following the steps of Joy Boy, he could end up being a very big problem for Im-sama's plans, because the fruit of the Sun God and Im-sama's fruit would be rival powers. In this rivalry, Im-sama's power would be that of chaos and destruction, a great shadow that would envelop the world in darkness. And this power could be very similar to Teach's power, or even in some ways, it could be the same power. And let's just take a second to think that it could be the same power. Because we've got such an array of devil fruit, Im-sama could be using the powers of the users of Teach's fruit to survive for eternity. And this might explain why Im-sama kept Teach's sign as well. But it also could be that just Im-sama's powers work in a different way than Teach's, and it could be a completely separate fruit. Now this moon fruit might just have a simple characteristic before it gets awakened, just like the fruit of the Sun God gives its user a rubber body before it's awakened. So before awakening the fruit that would give powers to Joy Boy's enemy, we really wouldn't notice anything until it was awakened. The power of the moon fruit could be very similar to the Yami Yami no Mi, but has to have some different characteristics if we're not talking about the same fruit. Because as I said, it could be that Im-sama is somehow obtaining the powers of the user of the Yami Yami no Mi to remain immortal. After all, the user of the Yami Yami no Mi has unique powers, such as the power to get more than one devil fruit and even nullify, but they can't become intangible like other Logia users, and also seem to experience way more pain when attacked. Like the Yami Yami no Mi, the fruit of the moon god would be able to annul any brightness or ray of light, or rather have no limit to the powers that it can emit. This may also be the reason why we can't know Im-sama's real identity, because just like Luffy, who gets a new transformation with his awakening, and the characters around him didn't recognize it could be that Im-sama's identity is unknown because of his awakening. It's also possible that this awakening or transformation could just be undone. I mean, after all, we've seen a couple times when Luffy got tired, he kind of faded out of his Sun God transformation and going back to his original form. Something that also could be is that if Im-sama gets exhausted or there's no need to use their powers, they could undo their transformation. And just with that, they end up just keeping their personality the same as it was 800 years ago. But without this power, he could not lead the world government. So it could be that the fruit of the moon god and the fruit of the sun god may have a connection, an enmity that has been lasting for hundreds and possibly even thousands of years. After all, as we saw before, Im-sama seems to have been keeping this hat for many, many years. And of course, this hat may be connected to the very former user of the Nika fruit. And this cycle could have been going on for a very, very long time, where Nika seeks to bring peace to the world by putting a big smile on everyone's face, where the power of Im-sama's fruit may have the opposite mission, to bring darkness and engulf the world in chaos, while always showing a face of stern, even justice. One last thing to consider before we go is that the treasure of the One Piece may be harboring some kind of power that Im-sama wants to possess but can't for some reason. Or perhaps it contains some power that will facilitate victory against Im-sama. So once Im-sama learns of Luffy's awakening, we could see something really get put into motion. And this could lead to a conflict in which will decide the entire fate of the world of One Piece. And this fight is going to involve so many important characters that are going to have to ally themselves on one of these two sides to see how the world turns out. But for now, let us know what you think about it. Do you think there's some kind of moon fruit or other godly fruits? What do you think about the connection between, say, Teach's fruit and Im-sama? Let us know in the comments below. So to conclude our video, we want to thank you so much for watching all the way to the very end. Make sure you comment on any other themes or ideas that you'd like to see in future videos. And also, since you made it this far, give us a like as you head out to take on the rest of your day. Hope to see you all in our next video, and let's keep sailing this giant sea together. Take care.